It's
Chris,
just
Jutta.
me.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you guys again. Thanks for coming back. Day four.
Day four.
Myra
Good
and I were
afternoon,
just
both of
saying
you.
how, um, we've got some, a lot of engagement here, really. Often on these type of things, a lot of people drop off as the days go on, but you guys
Yeah,
have
right.
been consistent and persistent. So that's been great. We'll see if anyone else turns up today.
Haven't got rid of me yet.
How was
Excellent.
yesterday's? We were afraid it might have been a little too deep. No?
It wasn't the depth, it's just it jumped around a bit too much that I couldn't follow the sequence. So I'm going back
Okay.
over the video because you've recorded it, which is great. I'm going back through it because some of the elements or whatever URLs you had to create before you went into some of the
Yes,
Yeah.
route.
yes. The
So,
the webhooks you had to do.
oh,
Yeah.
Mm.
God, where am I going? Um, but yeah, going back through the video again today, I could see where it all comes in.
Right. Good.
It's taken me a bit of a while to piece it together, but it's coming together. I haven't quite finished it because I didn't have a lot of time today, but
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Excellent. Oh, well
Yeah,
done. I
yeah.
mean, this is all about putting it out there, getting you familiar with terminology, but also, the process. Um, but really take it at your own pace. Do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Mm.
Once you know what needs to be done, then it's about, okay, when do I need this? Do I need it in this case? Don't I need it? And work from there. So we've got more people coming in now, which is
I,
great.
I think it's great too. I learned so much, and I had never touched anything with vibe coding, and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I mean, all the things that you can do, and I mean, you get so much information thrown at you on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and you just don't know where to start, right? It's like just overwhelming. So I think the pace was really great. Unfortunately, didn't have a lot of time during the week to kind of explore and do the homework, but I'm dedicating my weekend to it. So I want to get a little deeper. And it's really good that you're posting the recordings
Mm.
because, yeah, some things that you miss in the live event, then you can go back and you're like, I know they talked about it and
Yeah.
you
Right.
Yeah.
re-listen to it's great. Yeah, it's really good. So it
Excellent.
could, like, I can
Can
always go
I
back there
ask
and
you, how
look
do you
at,
pronounce your name?
oh, Utah.
It is Jutta.
Utah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it right when you said it yesterday.
Lovely. Okay, well that's really good good to hear because obviously when we're putting this the first time we're doing this and we really want I think AI skills AI proficiency as we all know is becoming a must-have going forward really. I think whilst it's all new to us now in terms of what we can do and how to do it actually going forward in a couple of years time a lot of people will know how to do all of this. So we're at the head of the curve, um, and brings so many opportunities, and I think that's what everybody needs right now as well. Um, so yeah, we're very much about let's share what we've got and let's grow from there. Let's all grow together. So
Also, I'm super excited about it because I've been a user experience designer for a long time, but I have sort of done a sabbatical lately, and I feel like the tools keep evolving so fast that I almost felt like, well, now I kind of missed the boat. I can't get back into it, but now with this, I feel like, you don't need to constantly catch up with learning the latest Figma versions and this and that. You can just, use your expertise that you collected over, I don't know, a 30-year career and be
Yes.
basically not the maker, but the editor of things. So
exactly.
whatever the skills that you built over a long career, you can just, use them
Yes.
without feeling you're like, dropped off because the younger people are so much faster in actually building, doing things, learning things. So
Yeah, but the
this
younger
really
people, they
gives me
don't, the
this
younger
gives me
people
hope.
don't
Yeah,
have the experience
they
that you
don't have the
have.
experience. Yeah, so this is giving me hope. So no,
Yeah.
this is
Oh,
excellent. I'll
good.
I'll,
That's
I'll keep at it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
fantastic. I love that because I think exactly that. I actually think, as Maya said, the younger people don't have experience, and actually, um, it's all well and good having, the technical experience, being very fast at doing all of that, but without the actual depth of knowledge that you use to
The
question
domain knowledge.
direct,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
what you're what you're trying to build or where you're trying to take AI,
Mm.
AI will take the reins and will go off in a certain direction, and the inexperienced person won't know necessarily how or that they should be
Yeah. They don't
directing it
know
or
what's in the
directing it.
right direction. Yeah,
Yeah,
often they
exactly.
just don't know yet. So no, this is really like, turned the tide a little bit for me from being like, oh my God, this is like now there's AI and now there's this and that and everything is new and how am I even gonna like,
I think
sell
though,
myself in an interview? But now I'm like, yeah, this gives me, a good
Oh, I love
vantage
that.
I
point. Yeah.
think AI not only levels the playing field, but if you're adding AI to your own already learned experience, I mean, it actually puts you ahead a little bit if you can
I
get
I
both
think so.
together.
I
Right,
think
right.
so. And actually, there's a bit of me, and I know we're not going, we'll dive in a minute. There's a bit of me that has said to a number of people that actually marrying experience with AI is really where to go.
Yeah.
Just taking somebody that's fresh out of college who hasn't got that experience is really at a disadvantage compared to the person who has AI and the experience. So, yeah, I think this is fantastic. Music to my ears.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's absolutely great. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, let me just share with you my screen.
Diana has a question about Firecrawl. What's Firecrawl?
Can you hear me okay? Yes, that's part of my question. I went and played in Lovable last night, before I lost power, and so I had to give up at one point. But it was saying because part of what I wanted to do is sort of gather some data from the internet, to
Oh, it's
like
a
pull
web
into it.
scraping
I
API.
guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it said I could either connect Firecrawl for real web search and scraping or connect Perplexity or use AI knowledge only. And I was like, well, I have a Claude account. Is that what they're asking? And I don't understand, I guess. So I was wondering if you could help me figure out what they're asking me to do or what I should do, if that's really what I'm after.
Um, what a crawler does, it goes through multiple websites, goes through all the details of the websites and gets all the pages. Um, if that's what you were trying to achieve, then yeah, something like Firecrawl works. But
Is
that
that,
said, any of
yep.
the standard LLMs like, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini should all be able to do some level of that
So would
without
I
needing
want
Firecrawl.
to connect Claude then to be able to do that for me?
What were you trying to achieve?
Just sort of search for descriptions. Like I wanted to upload products, translate them into the database, and then have it pull greater detail than what was available in the photo.
I would try with Claude, um,
Okay.
especially Claude Cowork, which seems to do it out of the box.
Yeah. Okay. How
Uh,
do I connect that in Lovable?
oh,
I
that's a
think
good question. I've
I
never
would think you
tried.
need to use an API there, um, because you'd be using your
Your API
subscription
key
or
and your credits.
your usage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovable
Um,
has an MCP server, so
Okay.
you
Okay.
can use that.
yeah.
Thank you. I'll just go down that route and try and figure it
Yeah.
out. But I was like, oh, I don't know. So, okay. Thank
Mm,
you.
Yes,
welcome.
you and in actual fact, you just ask Lovable, saying, "Okay, you want me to do this? What about Claude? Could I use my Claude subscription?
Oh,
Okay, and how do
yeah,
I connect it?" And it will tell you.
perfect. Because I'm using Claude to tell me how to prompt it in Lovable, but I didn't think
Yes,
about
Yes.
asking Lovable
exactly,
how to connect
exactly.
it to
Either
Claude.
way,
Okay.
both
Thank
ways.
you.
Yeah.
And I think that with AI, that is that's almost the secret is actually it's all there for the taking, and you just need to ask. And that's what
Yeah.
we, historically, often we're all reserved actually asking questions. But with AI, ask anything you don't know, and you're not sure about, you don't understand, ask it. And if you don't understand the answer, ask it to kind of explain it to a 10-year-old. Then it'll do exactly what you ask it to do, and you shouldn't feel like, well, maybe I should know that.
I'm
Yeah,
actually loving that about it because it feels like, they say no stupid questions, but I'm like, but there are. And now I
Exactly.
can
You
just covertly
when
do
we were
that.
in when we were children in school, they made us feel like they were stupid questions. That's the thing about
Yeah.
AI. It doesn't make you feel stupid. It just gives
Yeah.
you
No.
the answer.
Yeah.
And then even if it gives you an answer and you don't get it, it's like, oh, and then you can ask it to further
Exactly.
explain. So
But you also know that AI has most of the answers. So if you ask
Yes.
the right questions, you get the right answers.
yes.
At
What I
which
would
point we're
always
not
say.
going to need parents anymore because kids are going to go straight to AI.
Oh
That's
dear.
scary. Right. Okay. Well, let's just introduce you to what I have planned for today. So we have, over the course of the last few days, covered quite a lot of ground, and I know for some of you maybe that it's been a bit daunting, especially yesterday's session. We dived into something that might appear to be confusing at the start, but once you start working through it and hopefully following that that training session, maybe record, watch a replay, and go through it a couple of times, and you'll realize that actually these are just a logical steps you need to follow, and it's not as difficult as it might appear at first sight. Just as the idea of all vibe coding, it's all the rage, but how do I do that? Actually, it's really quite straightforward, isn't it? To get started and then start moving. So the first part of this these few days has really been about just building up your confidence and your competence in terms of just asking for what you want, how you want it, thinking through the type of things that you could do, that kind of thing. So now we're going to take a little step backwards today to make some hopeful leaps going forward. Okay. So piqued your interest. You know how easy it is to create something, but equally, there's a saying of failing to plan is planning to fail. Well, you're not going to fail necessarily, but if you put more effort in the front end of the process, then you will get more out of the back end of the process. So we're going to talk a bit about that, and really go through the different stages, different things that need to happen for you to get a really, really good prompt that you can then put into your AI builder, your AI tool, to build something that is a lot more thought through, perhaps, than just a kind of a throwaway comment. So we have covered quite a lot of ground. We've worked with AI Studio within Go High Level. We started to move outside of that with Lovable, started to understand a little bit about the connections that you might need to other software platforms to get a workflow flowing from end to end, from one tool into another tool, where to retain the data, what different tools can do with that data, as in like Go High Level. The contacts, for example, how you can then automate the messaging from those contacts in that single platform. So we have covered a lot of ground, and we have talked about, right at the beginning, we talked about these 5 steps of getting the idea, designing it, building, iterating, testing, and publishing it. And we've really been focusing a little bit more on actually just getting our hands dirty and getting it into the system. But I want to take those steps back and focus a little bit on these steps now, because these are really, really important to make it easier for you in the back end. But they're not the fun parts, and they can be a bit time consuming, although I've got a little tool that will help you, hopefully. But yeah, having the idea and being very specific about what it is you want to create, and then designing that, being thorough in your design, your specification, to then make sure that the tool that you're using actually it knows exactly what you want. You thought through in a level of detail what you want, so that it can build it more off the bat, and there's not as much iteration necessarily, and as a consequence, in most tools, in this case, we're using AI Studio. As we said, they've got this free AI Summer of AI period, where you're not paying for all your usage, and that usage isn't massively expensive anyway. But when you start building, perhaps a bit more complex product, you are going to need a lot of iteration potentially and a lot of testing, and all of that is all going to use up tokens and cost and time. Whereas if you get right at the outset, if you get that design, fairly well nailed, and you ask the AI tool to build something that you've really thought through more, then you're going to have less iteration as a consequence of that, and that's going to save you time and money. So it's really important to get these stages right. Sorry?
Sharon, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. I'm sorry. I have a question. Will it as well create code that is kind of cleaner and more efficient and more organized? Would you say if you start with like a good
Yes.
design?
It will. Because
Yeah.
it will, because at the end of the day, if you think about the iterations, if you keep adding this and thinking about that and think, oh no, I don't want this, I want that, then it's trying to bolt on bits and pieces all over the place. So it's not going to be as efficient necessarily as it would have been if it had a clear picture right from the beginning, and it knows what it's building, and then it can build it. And then the iteration is there still will be iterations, but they're not so involved because the whole process and the design and the specification has been thought through in up front. That makes
Yeah, because the AI, yeah, totally, it makes sense, because the AI is not going to clean itself up as it goes, kind of like, oh yeah, this wasn't good, I'm going to scrap that. It's just going to write over it or correct what's already there, kind of thing, right? Yeah,
It's very good at creating spaghetti code. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And that then means, as you say, inefficiencies, and inefficiencies will cost you in one way or another.
Totally. Thank you.
So
I think after you build a project, it's always good to go back and ask the AI to review it in terms of, good design patterns. Like, are you reusing the code that could be reused? Are you, factoring out things that are unnecessarily complex, make them simpler?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to focus a little bit on this, and just getting you thinking a little bit more about it, because having dived into this, it is very exciting and inspiring in terms of what you can do and how easily you can do it, and if you give it a little bit more time to have thought through what it is that you want to build, and have that spec up front, then that's the kind of, for some people maybe that's the more boring part, because it's the less you don't get as much gratification instantly. But it is so important. Okay, so I wanted you to see and be inspired about what you can do, but I also want you to be aware that the more time you put into designing and really thinking through your idea, and then building crafting a good efficient prompt for the AI tool to then go away and start doing the building and bring it to life, it will pay off in the longer run. So the idea, it's important to have thought through the idea. It depends on what kind of tool you want to generate. If you're generating something for yourself, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly what the problem is, what you want to solve, what information you want to pass into it, and what you want to get out of it, and what you want the tool to ultimately do. And maybe the design and the look and the feel is not really that important, other than just getting the result. If you are building something for somebody else, then it's very important that they convey to you exactly what you need, what they want, and what you then need to do. Because again, otherwise that process of going backwards and forwards, because you create something, you've made some assumptions, and that's not correct because they haven't filled in those gaps, just as AI does exactly that. If you don't give it enough information, it will fill in the gaps and make some assumptions, and often those assumptions may not be exactly how you wanted it to be. So that is time and money in terms of the AI tokens, but if you're doing it with somebody else, it's time and your effort that's involved there. Or maybe you're building something that you want to sell as a product, and put it out there to the market, to a particular audience, a particular niche product, or something a bit more broad, more general. Again, it's really important to get that idea out there, but also to validate that idea and think, well, okay, this is the idea, but I think it's a good idea. Is it really going to be valuable to my audience? And so there are a lot of things to consider when it comes to the idea. What problem are you actually solving? Who you solving it for? And is it something that not just you see as a problem? If it's not just a tool for yourself, if you're building it for somebody else or another niche market, is it something that they're going to really get value from in their world through their eyes? Or if you're going to want to look for payment, is it something that they are actually going to pay for? Is it something they're prepared to pay for? Yeah. And so go through the idea, think it through carefully, depending on which category you fall in. Are you building it for somebody else? And therefore, what is from their perspective? Gather that information first, find out the problem from their perspective and how you can position your tool potentially to solve that problem. Yeah, so you really need to validate that idea. Yeah, so you come up with the idea, be clear in your head what the problem is that you're solving, and validate that idea. Is it realistic to build, for example? You have this amazing, fantastic, complex idea, but actually the build is quite extensive. It's not something simple, and maybe you should start with an MVP, a minimum viable product, which you could take out there and test the market, see how it works, and not go for diving into something really complex when actually it doesn't hit the mark for your audience. Does that make sense?
I come from a development background, and that's what we developers always do. We've got these brilliant ideas. We go build them, overbuild them,
Yes,
and
exactly.
then discover that the market really doesn't care.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. For example, website builders, historically a lot of website builders are designers who love the design and the aesthetics and everything else, which is fantastic. But equally, that website needs to not just look good, but it needs to convert customers, or it needs to do whatever the call to action is of that website. What is it? Is it just a brochure website? Is it requesting to sign up to get a quote, to download a lead magnet, to take them through some customer journey to lead them through to actually becoming a paid customer? But often, people like the look and feel of it, but actually that look and feel may not be hitting the nail on the head for the target audience and pushing them towards the journey you want to take them on. It might be a very pretty website, and that's as far as it goes. So we always need to think about who we're doing this for, what is their perspective, how they are going to receive it. Is it a problem they want solved? Is it a problem they're potentially going to pay for? Is it what specifically are their issues, and therefore how the software tool can then support that. Okay, otherwise potentially wasting a lot of time and coming up with this brilliant idea, but you've not really tested that idea, that theory. So that's the validation side. And these are steps that, are taken in, as Maya says, when you in history, or in the past, any development project, or in fact any business idea or anything like that, you have an idea, it really is wise to validate that idea first before investing too much time and energy and money into it. And then the next step is actually then designing it. So let's say we've got an idea, we've identified a problem and a niche market that actually that problem is going to solve. We've validated it. We've spoken to a number of people in that space, and they really think that idea is a great idea, given us some ideas around, what they would like to see in it, what their particular problem is, what their angle might be, what keeps them up at night, why this could be something that they would potentially pay for. Then you need to spec that all out and design it. and go through literally the moving parts. What information do we need to gather to put into this system? What do we need coming out of it, and what needs to happen in between? What's the process? What are the steps that need to take place? What systems are involved, and what are they going to do with the data? What data needs to pass from one system to the other for the next system to be able to do its job? And really get down to a level of detail that gives no room for ambiguity, so that the AI tool knows exactly how that data is transferred, what it needs to happen at each step of the way, what you want at the output, what output you want, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to, the tone of voice, the branding, the everything about it. The more specific, the more detailed, the more accurate your outcome is going to be, because then your AI tool knows exactly what it is that you really want to build. Otherwise, it will make assumptions, and those assumptions are probably not going to be what you actually wanted. Maya, do you want to add anything more on the design front?
No, I think it's actually Yuta who should add something on the design front. I'm just calling on you because you said you're a UX expert. Well, you didn't say you were an expert. You said that was your background. Yuta, you there? Maybe not.
Hi, yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, sorry, I was a little bit spacing out,
Shocked.
but yeah, I mean, it's as a UX designer, yeah, you're always like in a way countering the development team that wants to add a lot of features and stuff, and you always want to bring everybody back to what is the core reason for, building this app? What is the main path that you want to pursue that a person should be able to quickly execute?
Um,
And yeah, so it always takes a lot of reining in the team because everybody gets excited sometimes about technology and features, and you just want to make sure that, at least 80% of your audience is able to, complete the task that they came for. And then you can iterate and add things as you get user feedback. So that's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
yeah,
mostly
I
the
I
focus
would
of
add
what I do. Yeah.
I would add that that is the time to add it to iterate is after you get user feedback, not before.
Yes, yes. Start with the minimum of functionality that is required.
exactly.
That's always difficult to kind of
Yeah,
explain to the client or the team because they're all excited to do a lot, but it's better to start with less and then see, how and optimize that and then add on additional features as you go along.
Exactly. That's great. So it's really about being as specific, and the other side is scope creep as well. The more specific you are about what you want, then you can keep it contained to what you want. Otherwise, it's so easy, as you say, other ideas pop up as you're developing this, because you haven't been that clear on the spec and the design. And then things start to creep and grow and grow and grow and grow. And that minimum core product that really needs to initially be tested. And that's where you start to, as we say, iterate, get the ideas on what goes next.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Yeah, it's very important to have like a requirement set that everybody agrees on. So when you have these issues with scope creep, you can always go back with your client and say, but this is really what we all agreed on doing. So let's do this first and then see how it's being
exactly.
received. And then after that, we can think of, the next phase. How do we expand on this and what do we add and where does it go? Because sometimes actually people use it kind of differently than what you expected or anticipated. And that's something that you don't necessarily find out until you have something built and it's being used. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
yeah, and
great.
scope creep is a real problem. I mean, yeah, that's something that you have to just document your intention and make sure everybody agrees,
Mm.
signs off on that. So that's a little bit upfront work that is
Yeah,
not fun necessarily, but
yeah,
very important to, to not go over budget.
yeah, exactly. And also, you need to be thinking that AI is your resource. So the AI tool is your developer. Yeah. And it may well often come up with ideas and suggestions, or, make some assumptions because it hasn't been because it has the scope to do that. That may not be in your best interest, may not be quite where you want to take it, may be expanding the scope of it, and you need to rein it back sometimes too.
And I feel like, especially now that, the tools make it very easy for people to build like functioning prototypes, this has actually become
Yes.
more of a problem than it used to be because in my experience as a UX person, like we had like, time and budget to do the research and kind of, you know, decide on everything up front as much as we could. And then the tools got so much easier that people were kind of like, oh, let's just build it and see, let's see what
Yeah.
sticks, and that just created a lot of chaos and a lot of, dissonance between the goals of each person on the team. And so it's important to go back to kind of, yeah, there's some things that are not negotiable. They will just make your project hell if you don't align with
Yeah,
everyone up front. Yeah, then it just becomes a huge hot mess,
yeah,
and you will never finish because it's
exactly.
always like, but I
Yes.
wanted this. Oh, but I think it should do that. So it's, yeah, this
Right.
that makes it even more important than, yeah,
And
because
that's
it's,
why I thought it's really important to include these elements in now, because
mm,
you've got the excitement about what's possible, but actually the process of building something hasn't changed. It's just the tools and the resources, the speed that has.
yeah,
And so, we need to remember that if we get it all thought through thoroughly and planned out and specified up front, we're going to get a better outcome um, in lots of different ways. It's going to save us time in the long run. It's going to make sure that we know we keep to what we want to design initially, the core, that we get the result from the AI tool that we want initially,
yeah,
and we can, are more in control of it, put it that way.
absolutely.
So the spec. So we design what it is we want, and then we need to spec it out in such a way that the AI tool can really understand, and that we are all clear. And if you're working in a team, that you're very clear on what's in and what's out. What are you going to do? What are you not going to do? Maybe it's a nice to have, and it's something that you'll do further down the line, or you'll test it out with your potential audience further down the line, but it's not for now. But very clear on where the boundaries are, because if you don't have those boundaries, then they're going to get pushed because there's nothing to push. It's like a child, really, isn't it? A child will try and push boundaries, and they don't know where those boundaries are. They just keep going, and there's nothing to stop it. There's nothing to stop it moving. And AI doesn't know any better. AI is only going to do and fill in the gaps and do what you ask it to do. And if your specification isn't specific enough, then it's just going to fill in those gaps. And again, that might not be where you want it to go. So those stages are really important. And what that really means ultimately is that your design, your idea, your design, your spec, all of that feeds into the prompt that you give your AI tool. We talked before about PACT being the the prompting framework where you make sure that it has all the information that it needs. And so the prompt, ultimately, the instruction that you're giving your AI tool is fundamentally the most important thing. And the more thorough that is, keep going back to the same thing, but the more thorough that is, the more thought through that is, then the better outcome you're going to get. Yeah. So take your idea, clarify it, make sure you're very clear on what that is, what that isn't, and then structure it through a prompt. Now, what I've done is I've created a little tool for you. I said, sorry, Diana, I see we have access to all the slides from this, or they're somewhere in the group already. You know what? I should put the slides in there, shouldn't I? I've just put the recordings, but I haven't put the slides. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll put the slides in as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Right. So what I've done is I've created who is aware of custom GPTs in ChatGPT. It's basically it's a chatbot, but it has a particular focus and a particular instruction, and a particular knowledge bank to then deliver a particular outcome. Now, I've created this custom GPT, which you can use. I'll put the link actually in the chat for you. And this GPT, you can have a free account. It should be enough for you to get through it. But this is basically a tool for you to put in your idea. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll go into ChatGPT now. Why don't I do that? Whoops. I'll go new chat. I don't know what that was. Leave that side. No. New chat. Right. Okay. So I've created this custom GPT. And all you need to do is copy and paste that prompt, or click on that. Whoops. Click on that link that I've just put in the chat. Come on, wiki. Oh, it's okay. There it is. Okay. And it's going to open up this little tool, which I've created, called a Viber's Idea to Prompt tool. It's going to help you take your idea through and really specify it out and come up with a prompt that you can then use in your AI building tool. So if I just click on that button in the middle there, it's saying, right, I'll help you turn your idea into a focused MVP, which you can literally copy and paste that prompt into your vibe coding platform. And we'll work through one practice decision at a time. So this can take a little bit of time because it's actually going through quite a lot of detail. You give it your idea, however vague that might be, and it will start to try and understand exactly what it is that you're looking for, and then ask you the appropriate questions so that you can really spec it out in detail. Okay. And so you just literally follow it through, ask it the questions, answer the questions. If something doesn't resonate, have a chat with it. But its ultimate objective is basically to deliver with a copy and paste prompt that you can literally put into your coding platform, which will have gone through those different stages to help you flesh out specifically what you're looking for. So here, or what would you like to build? Okay, I'm going to build what am I going to put? A database. Oops. No, a directory of AI web coders to match with clients who are seeking AI tools. We're looking to build AI tools. Okay. Right, so it's saying, okay, so your understanding is that the material, the first version, focus on discovery and matching rather than managing contacts. Is that correct? Should the platform also handle hiring, project management? So it's actually thinking beyond what I've said. Yeah, it's kind of taking it, and then I'm just going to really then build in here and answer the questions, and it will help me think through my what do I actually mean about this? Do I want to include that, or don't I want to include that? Yes, no. It will then understand what it is I'm looking for, and then be able to start building it out, and giving you the prompt for it. So I have built this, and you can use it. And you can access it, use that QR code. You just need to have a ChatGPT account. And then whatever it comes up with, you can copy and paste and literally put that into your builder, whether that's, it'll also flag up, if you need databases, if you need how to potentially interface with other tools, if that's your design.
Thank you so much thank you for preparing this, Karen.
That's okay.
I'm just saying thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's really it's a tool. If you find that for some reason does something's funny, then let me know and I'll have a look at it. But it should, give you a good prompt, but more importantly, help you flesh out what it is you want and what it is you don't want, so that spec is really clean and clear in your own mind, so that it can be very clear and transparent to the AI tool as well. Okay. So that then comes into that prompt. And as I said before, if you get the first few stages really nail them down, you will be able to build a better first iteration, I suppose, of your tool or your software product, because it will be clearer. It knows what you want in a lot more detail. And the number of iterations hopefully will be less. The number of additional effort that's required will be less. So that means that one is time, saves you time, be a faster process, because the iterations can be tedious if you don't get it right at the beginning, and they can be expensive as well. And then it's just really build, test, iterate. Maybe build and iterate. That test kind of is really in the middle of it. It's all a kind of a circular process until you're happy and you come out the other end, publish it, and get some people to have a look at it, beta test it, give you some feedback, then you come back and probably iterate it again. But that's that's the process of software development. It's not going to be perfect first time round. Don't expect it to be, but the more specific you are in giving the instruction, the better starting point you'll have. Maya, do you want to say anything more on that?
I'm actually fighting very hard to bite my tongue here. It's a software development thing. Put the test before the build. So
yes, when I just looked at this, I completely agree with you. When I looked at this, I thought actually this is not right. It should be build, test, iterate. No. It
should be even before building. Because the idea is if you know the tests you're going to do, like when you're going to build a house, that it has to be 2 levels, that it's got to have doors, windows, whatever. So those things you have to know in advance, which means you build to that spec, which includes the test. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You're going to build a more robust product if you build it knowing what the tests are that it has to pass.
Oh, right. Yes. So in your design, what you're saying is in
after
this
the
stage
design
before
comes,
building it, that actually is also designing the test and the what you need to, as you say,
and it's not
what success looks like.
Exactly. And this is not to say that you won't find errors as you go, even if you start with the test.
Yeah.
You will, but then you add to the tests.
Yep. Yes, exactly. That design process is actually designing what good looks like, what the outcome that you really want is going to be, and what criteria it needs to what good looks like, what success is, and how you would test for that.
I think maybe this is a bit of a very developer focused view to put the test, because if you're just a general, a designer or a general person, I think it makes more sense for you to think first I have to build something that I can test, because I think the design phase, at least as it's laid out here, it's more like, because it's vibe coding, the design is really just language. It's not yet
Yeah.
the visual design. So I think in that case, probably it's like you have to build it, like render it first, then test it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Having said that, if you've got a clear outline of what you want it to look like, so from a visual perspective, then I would give it some ideas. Let's say you wanted to build a website and you liked a particular website of another company in a similar field, and you could ask it to look at that website and build something that, with that kind of look and feel, obviously with your content and everything else. But you give it an idea of what good looks like, what the output is that you want. Then it's more likely to generate something that actually is going to hit the mark earlier. So having a clearer understanding in that design phase of what the outcome needs to be is what that design process is, so that it can build it. And that does include, if you have a visual format, output, whatever is that you want it to look like and sound like, or from a usability perspective, all those things, if you put it in up front, then again, you're going to have a better outcome first time out the bat from AI's instructions. It will deliver what it should deliver, what you ask. Yeah.
Can I ask a question on this
Yes.
topic, Karen?
Yes.
So that's one of the questions I had in terms of design, like graphic design. So what you just said is it's better to kind of integrate it from the get-go, than ask it to just build something generic, black and white, and then ask it after to review the graphic design, or get the graphic design done by a human. Can you do that? Like get the product done, black and white, real simple, and then a human would go over it to make it.
I guess it depends on what process you want to go through. But I believe that the more information you can give it up front, then the easier it's going to be on you to start from a higher base. Because if you say, I want you to tell a builder, I want you to build a house, and I want the house to have a front door, back door, and 3 rooms inside. It needs to have a kitchen and bathroom and a little garden at the back. Then it'll build you a house. He'll build you a house, but he hasn't got any plans or framework or frame of reference of what's in your mind as to what a house is for you. Yeah, because and so AI is exactly the same. If you give it a plan and you actually say, I want it to, this is what I'd like, this is my architect's drawing, as it were, of what I want it to look like, then it can build it. But if it doesn't know, it's going to build something that it thinks, oh, this is probably all right. So getting that design up front. So when I say design, it isn't just
The color
visual
and the
design. It's the
fonts.
whole spec. It's the whole,
Yeah.
that should probably say, it's the whole specification of what you want, the data, the look and feel, the visuals, the systems, the integration. It's understanding that how it's going to work from the beginning to the end. And if you've got that understanding, then AI will have that understanding, because then you will have prompted it correctly. But if you haven't got that understanding, then it's going to fill in gaps, a lot of gaps. And as just in the case of the builder, he's going to build a house, and it will be a house, and it will have however many rooms and a front door and a back door and everything else. But it really may not be quite what you had in your mind, because you didn't tell him what you had in your mind.
So if you wanted to work with a graphic designer, for example, you would kind of get like a mock-up, for example, a graphic mock-up that you could feed into the AI and say, okay, this is the color scheme, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
start with this
You
mock-up kind of thing.
could.
Yeah, and in fact, you could even use AI to perhaps do some of that for you. So you could say,
Yeah.
I really like this is what I want to build, and this is an example of what I'm thinking of. Can you come up with some suggestions on, the
So
scheme, the layout, or whatever, whatever it is.
I'm going to ask a different question. Manuel, why do you need a graphic designer at all?
Well, because
Because
what I find is that the stuff that comes out of AI, I find it always looks generic. Like
got it.
there's no, like I find that it lacks personality. It lacks it. They in the end they always
Agreed.
look pretty much the same. So
Yep.
for me, and I have somebody in mind that I want to work with. I like the aesthetic. I like the approach. I like the sensibility to visual design. So
Yeah.
that's why I would want to work with a human.
Yeah,
And you're right.
it's
I agree
whatever
too.
works
Yeah.
for you. Having said that, I think that if you were to give, for example, some examples of the type of work that this graphic designer does, and give it to AI and say, right, I really like, and again, it's all about how you ask the question, what information you give.
Mm.
I'm
as
going to push
to
back on that, Karen, because if you're talking of somebody's specific aesthetic, then for me, there's the whole intellectual property
Copyright.
thing,
Mm.
IP, exactly. AI, I know, has been trained on everybody's intellectual property, but it's just, to me, it's a line I don't want to cross. So I wouldn't say, go look at this artist and find all her work and then create something that looks similar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
it
it
can
is a
do
fine line. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
exactly that, but if you've got a look and you're going to go to the graphic designer and you're going to say, okay, I like this, I like that, I like this, and you're going to give them examples of what you like. It's the same kind of thing. I'm not saying copy. I would never say copy.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think that, it's an inspiration. You want to take inspiration. And I'm only saying that because I think you're right, generically. AI stuff, it does come out of the box. It's obvious it's AI, it's
Yeah.
not creative, it's not got any personality really that you necessarily want to give it. But again, it's about how you prompt, what you're asking for, what examples you're giving, to tell it how to think, because AI has this huge brain, huge amount of knowledge. It doesn't know which parts of that knowledge bank that it's got that you want it to focus on. That's why when you give it a prompt, you actually, often say, can you act as an expert in this field, or
Right.
as, can you give me some feedback as if you were Richard Branson, or try and get into his thinking pattern and give me some feedback. That's a very different ask from saying, can you just give me some feedback? Okay, because the AI tool is actually going to say, okay, you want me to think like this person, so I'm going to put that thinking cap on and give you feedback on that basis. So it's the same kind of thing. That's really where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
How you ask the question, the detail that you ask, and being very specific about what it is you want. Don't let AI do the thinking for you. And that's where your experience and understanding of everything comes in. Pinpoint it, tell it where you want it to look, how you want it to think. And it can do a much better job for you than the generic output that it will come up with. But it's still,
Yeah.
the generic output is still going to be AI. It's not going to be a human. It's not going to create.
There's no heart. There's no heart. There's no feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
that's what we have, and that AI doesn't.
Yes.
When
exactly.
when you create something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we know that.
Completely agree.
But I understand that. Thank you.
Is it possible to just feed the AI a couple of design screens, let's say a homepage, a landing page, and then I don't know, product page, and say this is exactly the look that I want. Create all the remaining pages exactly with this style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you tell it what success, like what Maya was saying earlier, tell it what success looks like for you.
Yeah.
And if it's a visual and you've got a visual, then it's easier for it to then identify, okay, this is what you want. But if you don't tell it what the success looks like, then it's not going to deliver it for you, because what's in your mind, even if you were talking to somebody and you're trying to explain it, and that person is still going to have something else in their mind. But if they have a visual, it's going to be much easier for them to know, that's what you want.
Yeah, yeah. And what are the limitations really of vibe coding? I mean, I'm sure you're not going to do, a redesign for, Chase Bank in vibe coding, but I always saw it as like a prototype, kind
Yeah.
of a working prototype tool where you can kind of sell concepts, ideas, looks, but then you will hand it off to an actual team that does, for larger sites, like all the back end stuff. So just go back to this testing, the building testing iteration cycle. Like I see it more as like a small project where you sell an idea or you do a personal thing or a portfolio or some sort of that, but not a real functioning, let's say, e-commerce website. That would take a lot more than a week,
I
right?
disagree. I disagree. I think if you've got a developer in charge who knows what they're doing, vibe coding can actually produce excellent results.
Because
The
the vibe
point is,
coder the developer is going to be using vibe coding.
yes,
Oh, okay.
even enterprise now, everything is being done with AI, not with ChatGPT,
Mm.
but they have their own local models. They're absolutely leveraging AI.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's about the level of expertise, isn't it? Knowing what you want to get out of the tool so that you can get that out of the tool.
Yeah, so
And
that you build in the security and the scalability and all of that.
exactly. But you're completely right. So vibe coding has the potential to build at scale, but
Mostly
you would need,
not.
yeah, well, it's really depending on whose hands it's in, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you have a development background, you understand all the technical sides of things, then you will make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and you will, make sure it's an end-to-end robust, secure product. If you don't have that level of expertise, I would suggest, if you are building something that is to be at scale, then you would want somebody who understands what they're doing to take a look at this and actually say, is this where are the gaps? What do I need to do now?
Yeah.
Just as with a designer, with a graphic designer, you want somebody to come in there with the eye for on the creative side of things. You might get AI to build something to start with, and then you say, well, I like this, but I don't. There's something not missing on there. And then you get the creative guy to actually bring in their creative flair, just as you will get a developer who knows what they're doing to then cast their eye over this and make sure that it kind of hangs together. And that's the way I would look at it. I see AI as a really amazing tool that can help us all. And the ability to vibe code now is mind-blowing, really, in terms of what it can achieve. But if you're going to build something that you want to build at scale and you want it to be robust, you want it to be secure, maybe there's some privacy issues, whatever it might be, you really would want to make sure that it's done the job that you want it to do, and don't just assume that it has. You would want somebody to go in and double check that all of those criteria of what success looks like have actually been met.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to add to that. What we have today, this is always going to be the case for at least a decade going from here. What we have today is the worst that it's going to be, right? Tomorrow it'll be better. Already we know that Fable is so good that it's able to hack into huge enterprises, which is why they could not release it initially to everybody. The tools are getting better and better and better. Soon there will not be that need for, it will not be creating just prototypes. Out of the box, it will create really good code.
Yeah, that's true. But I still think that, you would want not to just rely on what it
Correct.
delivers, especially if you need something that, ticks the boxes from a privacy and security perspective.
Absolutely.
You would want to make sure, get somebody who knows what they're doing to check it out.
Yep.
It's a bit like,
Yeah.
if I buy a car, I might want to get a mechanic to look at the car before I buy it to make sure that it's kind of, worthy of what I think I'm buying. The same kind of thing. You want to use the skill sets that are there, but you don't need it to. It takes a lot of the process away and a lot of the time and the money and all the rest of it, but it doesn't take that the complete process away from
I think
skill
it
building.
doesn't take away your need for due diligence. So
Yeah.
trust but verify always.
Yeah.
It's really like kind of a bit of a scary scenario that you think that, people can do this as a one person with half-assed knowledge, and they publish sites, and then you give them your data and you have no idea that it's
Yes.
secure. And that was not like that like 5 years ago, because you were kind of more trusting that the large public sites were, developed by a team and tested
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
secure. But now you come across a lot of these one-person shops that try to, I don't know, offer you a service, but you don't know where your data goes. So
Yeah.
There's
exactly.
also, this AI has actually been a boon to scammers and phishing
Oh, yeah.
experts
I
and
can
all of
God,
that.
yeah.
I can only imagine, yeah. Because everybody can now make something look very professional,
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and people would fall for it, not knowing.
Yeah.
But I
And
come across a lot of e-commerce sites where I was looking for a particular product. This already happened a couple of times, and then I see that product, which was kind of hard to find, so I couldn't get it on the
Yes.
sites that I knew. And then all of a sudden, there's a site that has it at a really cheap price too, and I'm like, is
Right.
this possible? And then you look a little bit, and then you see it's completely fake. But not everybody knows how to look for that, right? So I'm sure a lot of
Yes.
people gave their credit card information and bought something that they probably never got.
yeah,
So
and exactly. And this conversation just really triggered. We had a talk in one of our AI professional networking sessions about a guy who talks about how to cut the costs of coding, where he's got a particular product which gets you a better token usage costs, put it that way. But he also told us that a lot of these chatbots, they've been built from major companies. I can't remember what he said, like Pizza Express or something had a chatbot on its website, but actually the chatbot had no guardrails. So you could ask it and talk to it about anything, yeah? And that means all those tokens, all the usage that anybody could ask and get free AI kind of
Yeah.
conversations out of it, because it hadn't been built securely enough to make sure that it's just doing the job that it was intended to do. So there were huge gaps in the code there. And they're not the only company, there were lots of other companies that are the same. So it's easy for AI to build something, but not put the necessary guardrails in place because you haven't necessarily thought about it and you didn't tell it to do it, or because, for whatever reason. So that's really why you do need to get somebody to look at it and say, hey, this is what I built, or this is what AI built for me. I need somebody to just look at it and make sure that it's doing what I want it to do, and there are no insecurities, I suppose.
And if we're making you paranoid, that's a good thing. But you can also tell AI, now you're going to play the role of an expert, cybersecurity expert,
Yes.
or whatever it is, and then have it do all the testing one more time, as if it was a hacker trying to break in.
Right.
Do the penetration testing, like do all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not just a development problem. I mean, we see it with news and everything. Like
Everywhere.
every fake thing looks close to
Oh my
very
gosh,
real. So,
yes.
I mean, it's kind of weird times where you're just, I don't even look at stuff anymore because I'm like, this is probably not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm thinking that because AI is so prevalent and so hard to tell now, in some ways, so all these scandals about people getting caught with their pants down, quite literally, sex videos or whatever of people without their permission, I can now just shrug it off and say, hey, that wasn't me, that was an AI.
That's
No
true.
need to be embarrassed anymore.
Oh, okay. So today's session was all about, just if you can get all your ducks aligned at the beginning, then they're all going to swim in the right direction, and get to where you want them to go. And therefore, kind of like taking a step back from just throwing out a cursory request from AI to build something, actually thinking it through, planning it, specifying it, designing it, getting all of that in place so that you can have a really good prompt, a really good instruction to the AI tool to build the right output. Okay, that's what today is about. And so your homework, and you've got the weekend to do this, is take that little custom GPT that I put together, put your idea in there, whether it's the one that you've built already, one that you're looking to build, or think about, or just come up with a completely different idea. And actually take it through the process. Go through that process, and that tool might take a few minutes to get through because it's asking questions based on the complexity of what you're asking it. It really wants to understand what it is that you're wanting to produce, and if it understands it, then you'll understand it too. So hopefully that will be helpful for you, and then you'll have a prompt at the end of it. And then build your app. Take
And share in the community.
Exactly. Take everything that we've learned and been covering over the last few days, create something, share it, let us see it. We can talk about it, reflect on where we're going, and what you've achieved so far, because I think you've all come a long way. Yes, you can do the homework on the project that you're working on. That's absolutely fine. This is for you now to say, okay, I have this idea. This is my project, or I've got a different idea. Let's see where I can go with that. Or, a friend of mine wants me to build this. Let me have a go at that, or whatever it might be. This is your space. It's your stage. We're giving you the tools here and the information on how to go about it. So now I'd like to see what you can come up with, and then we'll meet again, same time on Monday, and kind of go through, see where you're at, share our learnings, any additional questions, really how to take it to the next step. And we'd love to stay connected to you. I'm saying this for Maya as well, I hope. But I've really enjoyed doing this challenge. It's been very, very satisfying from my perspective to see what you're doing, how you're doing it. The kind of the growth in confidence and ability, and your willingness to kind of experiment and move forward with things has been fantastic. So I would like, we are going to build out and create an AI builders community. And if you're interested, I mentioned it before a few days ago, I know, but if you're interested, then I'll have details about that tomorrow. Not
Monday.
On Monday. And do connect with us on LinkedIn as well. Have you got our LinkedIn profile?
I can drop them in.
Yeah, if you guys are on LinkedIn, do connect with us on LinkedIn. Let's all share what we've been doing. And yeah, we love your feedback. Give me some feedback too, pop it in the group chat. Let us know what we could have done better, what what went really well, what you got out of it. Because that all feeds into, I hope that we will do something like this again. Anyway, before we wrap up, I'm very conscious of time. Any more questions? Are you guys happy? You want to join the community? Fantastic. Thank you, Marie. We look forward to seeing you in there. Any more questions before we wrap up? Any thoughts? This is a journey for you to take based on where you're at. If you don't feel ready to be using the the webhooks and Lovable, and you're working on your website still, that's fine. This, take it at the pace that is right for you. This is all about introducing you to vibe coding and giving you the opportunity to play. So go play. All right. No more questions. Then I think it's time to wrap up for the weekend, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yes, see you on Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Thank you.
Have
Have
a
a
great
great
Fun
weekend.
Have a
playing.
good weekend. Yes, we will. Thank you.
Take
Bye, guys.
care.
Bye.